Have you ever noticed that when Trump has no idea about something, he just says any crazy thing that pops into his head, and then he adds, "I don't know"? Which is pretty slick, because then you can never call him out on it. Maybe birds can fly backward when we're not looking. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I know that Donald Trump is trying to be menacing here, but all I hear is a really catchy pop song. It's like, my button brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's bigger than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours.
Seems weird, but there's probably a very simple explanation for why he talks that way. A thing called brain damage. Trump also... opened up about his personal struggles.
Some people say, sir, how do you get out of bed in the morning? It's a war.
No, it's true. Getting out of bed is a war. First fight is rolling over. Then comes sitting up.
Donald Trump came in and he was like, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna totally de-escalate this situation. And we were like, my man, you've never de-escalated a thing in your life. From your hair to your politics, nothing is a de-escalation. Trump came in and he was like, I don't like how Iran and Israel are launching bombs at each other all the time. So many bombs, we can't have this. It's not right. We gotta fix it. And they're like, all right, how are you gonna fix it? He's like, by dropping bombs.
Every time Donald Trump steps onto the stage, he thinks he's delivering history's greatest performance. But Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert tear the curtain down to reveal a bloated rerun.
In the United States of America, if you want to win an election, all you need to have is a strange voice. Simple as that. You want to be president of the United States? Get a strange voice, you're done. Yeah, forget policies, forget ideas, that's boring. You come out there with a strange voice, the people love it. You realize there's been no American president who has a normal speaking voice, none. Trump, that was the weirdest of all.
No, you fool! Now there's one less job. Don't you see? You fell into her trap. But it makes sense. He fires anyone who gives him bad news. Mr. Dr. Cardiologist, you clearly rigged my cholesterol to be 1,000 and said my blood type was aioli. You're fired, happen or no, it's honey mustard.
Markets himself as the savior of the nation, yet the fine print always reveals chaos, division, and a presidency that runs more on grievance than governance. The brilliance of Noah and Colbert's takedown is that they don't just attack Trump's policies or decisions, they go after the theater of his presidency. The endless bragging, the made-up accomplishments, the way he puffs himself up like a peacock on steroids. And it works because Trump's biggest weakness has never been his critics or his opponents. His biggest weakness is himself.
What is he going to do when he loses?
Yeah, people act like it's going to...
I'm being for real about this, by the way. Like, I think people take for granted that guy thinks everything is a conspiracy.
Trev, you're smarter than me. Please explain this to people, because I've been trying to tell people this. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't think it's going to be a transfer of power at all.
I don't think
he's going anywhere.
I don't think Donald Trump does anything normally. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes like, I'm not leaving the White House.
I'm not leaving.
I could see him just being like, I'm not leaving. There were fake votes. 3 million fake Mexicans voted. I'm not leaving. And then you know what's weird about America is America has all these rules where you guys have just agreed to things, but it's not like written down properly. And then they'll just be like, but you're supposed to leave, Donald.
Trevor Colbert lands hard on Trump's thin skin. He projects toughness, but the reality is pettiness. A man so desperate to win every exchange that he ends up looking smaller each time he opens his mouth.
And Times Person of the Year is Donald Trump. There. I talked about it. Along with making the cover this morning, Trump got to ring the big boy bell to open the New York Stock Exchange. He made it look easy, which is no surprise because Trump has spent years practicing his bell ringing.
Ding, 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 ding.
And the strangest part about Trump's presidency isn't just that he keeps surviving scandals like a cartoon character walking away from an explosion, it's that he brags about them like trophies. Every mess becomes a campaign ad, every blunder becomes proof that he's playing 10-dimensional chess. But really, it's like watching someone claim credit for surviving car crashes when in reality, he was never the driver. He was just strapped to the hood screaming about how great the ride was.
He looked like a dad who had kids that were fighting in the backyard. And he was just going back and forth. He's just like, shut up, baby, come on, shut up. How many times do you have to tell your kids that you're not gonna, I told you once and I'll tell you again. And then he looked at the reporter and he did something I've never seen an American president do in my entire life. He cursed live on TV into the camera, looked at the camera, and he was like, they were like, what do you think, Mr.? He's like, I'll tell you what this is. You've got two countries that have been fighting so long, they don't know what the they're doing.
Noah cracks open the delusion perfectly. It's like watching a magician pull rabbits out of a hat, only for the rabbits to file lawsuits afterward for unpaid appearances. Trevor Noah brilliantly exposes how entire strategies get shaped not around logic or national interest, but around making Trump feel like the smartest man in the room. International relations turn into therapy sessions, cabinet meetings into fan clubs, and press briefings into self-congratulation contests. Colbert adds the sharper jab. Trump isn't governing. He's auditioning for history's approval, rehearsing every line as if the future were an audience he could win with ratings. The punchline is that the future won't remember the rallies or the slogans. It'll remember the spectacle of a man mistaking volume for vision.
Donald Trump has one of the most twisted minds I've ever come across. Because not only does he think Eric Holder unethically protected Obama, he thinks it's the one good thing that Holder did. He's like, I know Eric Holder burned Obama's Kenyan birth certificate into ashes, but you gotta admire how he broke the law to cover it up, folks. He did a good job. Good job.
Noah and Stephen Colbert don't hold back when they set their sights on President Donald Trump. They slice right through the bluster, the bravado, and the endless carnival act that defines his presidency, turning every boast into a punchline and every meltdown into a comedy goldmine. Trump presents himself as the ultimate strongman, but under their comedic scalpel, he comes across like a guy who wandered into the White House thinking it was the lobby of one of his hotels. The problem is, unlike his casinos, he can't just declare bankruptcy and walk away when things go bad, although, if he could, there would probably be a giant Chapter 11 plaque hanging over the Oval Office by now. Of course, you can't talk about Trump without mentioning his Twitter addiction. It's where his insecurities, grudges, and unfiltered thoughts pour out like a late-night diary no one asked to read. Noah skewers the absurdity. The leader of the free world bragging about television ratings at 3 a.m. or picking fights with random critics like a high schooler running the student council. Colbert hammers the irony. Trump spent years screaming about fake news while producing an endless feed of fake news himself, 280 characters at a time. It's less social media strategy and more presidential cry for help. But the most devastating point comes when both comedians strip away the theater and reveal the emptiness beneath. Colbert sharpens the blade. When history looks back, it won't see greatness. It'll see a brand, a logo, a reality TV archetype who mistook slogans for statesmanship. The only wall he successfully built was between truth and his supporters' ability to recognize it. And that's why the roast hits harder than any policy critique. Noah and Colbert aren't just making fun of Trump's words or mannerisms, they're exposing the fragile scaffolding holding up his entire persona. They turn the toughest president ever into what he really is, a man desperate for applause, incapable of reflection, and addicted to the spotlight.